So let me first show you what I'm going to develop here. So you guys, whenever you have gone to a restaurant, uh, the place where they are taking the orders, you might have seen something like this on the screen in their table, right? So they have a layout for all the tables that are there in the restaurant. And for each table, they have a record of all the orders that are being displayed, then that are the customers have ordered on their table, and the bill that has been generated. So this application is somewhat similar. Of course, it's not uh, all the features of such an application is not there, but this is an example of a basic CRUD application that you guys can make. So as a demonstration of this software, I can just select a table and I can mark it occupied. So by occupied state, I mean that the customer has arrived, but he has yet to order. And then when I can just take a order. So suppose the customer is having 2 burgers and a salad. So you can just see that the order is recorded over here, and I can now place order. So when I place order, the state of this table has been changed to red, which means the customer has ordered. I can add more orders yet, or I can just finish and bill the order. When I've finished billing, the state goes back to available, and the total sales has been recorded over here. And again, there is another tab where I can see all the sales that I have made throughout the day over here. So as you can see over here, these are the sales that have been made in the past few days over here. Of course, these are some dummy data, but yeah, you can just see here. So we are going to develop this one from scratch right now using PyQt. So let's get started. So to start off, so as one of you mentioned, you're using Qt Creator. So I'll be using Qt Creator as well to develop this one. So let me just make a new project here. So in the new project, I will just select Qt for Python over here, and I will select a window UI so that I will get a base main window widget to start my application. Once I choose that, I will get another prompt to select my uh, project. So I will just select a path over here for that project. Yeah. The name of the project can be restaurant manager. This. And the base class I will give a view main window. And yeah, project file being restaurant manager .py project, and the source file being main window.py. So I will just keep the defaults. Interpreter I will choose as PySide 6. By kits I will just keep it default. And let's use the git version control right for now and finish. Okay, so as you can see here, so here in Qt Creator, my project is now ready. And if I just, yeah, I will just install PySide 6 in the virtual environment that it has created for me here. Okay, so the virtual environment has been created. Okay, so I will just restart my VS Code. We haven't done anything here, right? We have just created the project in the Qt Creator right now. You can just manually type out these files as well. I prefer using the Qt Creator because it also creates a Python virtual environment for me. So if you just see it in VS Code, I have the following files over here. So I have the PyProject file, which just keeps a track of all the files that are there in my current project. It has the decommerce.txt, which only has PySide 6 for now. it has main window.py. So this is my main executable uh, one for my project. So if I were to run my project, I will need to run the main window.py file right here. I will just demonstrate it once right now. But first, I will need to access the remote environment. Sorry, I have to access the Python environment that has been created for me by Qt. So in Linux, what I need to do is I need to use the command source, and I just need to type out the path of the virtual environment. Then in the bin folder, there is a script called activate. And if I just activate it, and there you can see my Python environment is running. So now if I just run python main window.py, I will see an error because it says that from UI form, I need to import the main window of class. So, and you can see here that there is no UI form file here. So what I can do that is in this comments that it has said me, I can just run this command right here. So I will just explain what it does is it calls the PySide6 utility to convert a UI file into a Python file. The O flag is just the name holder. The O flag is used if you want a custom name for your Python file. Otherwise, you can use it without the O flag, and it will just print out a form.py file. So if I run this, you can see here I have created a UI form.py file. This file is nothing but the Python implementation of the .ui file. So what is happening here is this .ui file is something that Qt creator makes. So right here, if I just close this down here in this in Qt 6 they have implemented in Qt 6 they have merged all the tools into one single application called Qt Creator. Otherwise, earlier in Qt 5 there used to be different applications for known as Qt Designer, and right here as you can see there used to be different applications called Qt 5 Assistant, Qt 5 Designer, Linguistic, etc. So in Qt 6 they have integrated it into one application right here. So the UI file is just uh, the design part of the application. So it is if you see in from the architecture side, this is the view of my application in the model view and controller. So in here I can just drag and drop all the widgets I want in my application. And yeah, and this file is not readable by Python by itself. I need to convert it I need to convert it into Python. So that's what the PySide 6 UIC tool does. This file, it converts this file into a .py file. And now if I try to run the main window file, you can see I get an empty window right here. So this is currently an empty. Currently, this is my application. There is nothing in here, and we will slowly put things in here. Okay. So first things first. What we'll do is uh, we will first design the UI over here. So I like to keep a top bar. So I like to keep something in my top bar so that I can add things later on. So I will just put a view over here, and I will just put an about statement here. So this is my top bar over here. So top bar is basically this thing where you can see this file, edit, view, build, all those things. So this is the top bar widget over here. So in the right side, you can see that I have a list of all the widgets that are being displayed. So in this menu bar, you can see that I have these little menu objects, and these menu objects are nothing but these lists and that are being made here. So after this list, I will just add a tab widget. So you can just search here and you will get tab widget, which is a contain. I will go with a container one because inside this tab widget, I will put more things later on. Okay, before the tab widget, I need to set the layout of this thing. So I will go with the horizontal layout first. Horizontal layout, what it does is uh, it aligns the elements that I'm going to drag and drop in this automatically in a horizontal manner. So for example, I'll put a queue widget first over here. And you can see that I did not need to resize it. The queue widget by default, it occupied the entire area. Then I will just put a tab widget. And I have the option to enter the tab widget anywhere in the left side or the right side. So if you see it carefully, you see that there is a blue line over here. So that means the tab widget is going to be inserted on the right side. For now, for this project, I will be inserting it in the left side. And you can see that the widget, the normal queue widget it's smashed right here. So you can just set the sizes in there. How to add the navigation bar in Qt Creator instead of C++? I think it comes by default. You don't need to add it right there. If you choose the Q main window starter file, it comes right. It comes by default in the widget, in the Q widget properties. Okay, I will be inserting the tab widget over here. And in the Q widget, in the minimum width, I will give it some 600 units. The 600 units, 200. Yep, that's better. Now, in the tab widget itself, I will be giving a grid view. I'll be giving a grid layout and I will just resize it. So grid layout is same as the horizontal layout, except all all the items in here will be managed in a grid, will be arranged in a grid. So I will show it to you in a while. In the grid, I will use the push buttons right here. So 1, 2, 3. Yeah. I will just pull the push buttons here. And in the properties itself, again, I will just select everything together so that all the properties of the push buttons are copied. And in the minimum size, I can set 100 and 100. So you can see all these push buttons are now square and they are in a grid right now. So that's this grid is going to act for as my table layout in the application. And in the queue widget itself, I'm going to put a few labels first. So first label, I will just put it right here. And you need to design it in such a way so that the user, whoever will be using it, doesn't have any problems in deciding what is where. So when it comes to designing, the first things we need to keep in mind is the design should be functional. And once you have made a functional design, you can work on making it look pretty. Because the main thing is about the software is it being functional. If it is not functional, then it won't be any use to making it look pretty. So I will just put a table number here. Like this. And let's say I will just put it 0 right here. We can program these labels to change the numbers later on. Next, I will put a table status right here. And for now, the hard-coded value, I can just put it as available. Next, I will put a button. The button, let's say it has our page. And yeah, I will just keep doing it and you guys can just follow along. Now here I'll be using a combo box and a spin box. So combo box is basically a drop-down menu and spin box is basically a number selector. So you can just enter a number here. Yeah, you can see. And we'll have a push button that says add. Next, we'll have a table to display all the orders that we have here. And we will have 2 buttons. Okay, and last, I will have another label over here to display the total sales that we have made that day. All right. Now I will just change the tab text right here. So first tab is tables. And the second tab right here, it can be called as sales. In this sales, I will just put a table over here. So you might have noticed here in the sales, there are 2 kinds of table here. One is model based and one is item based. So the difference being, again, that I've remembered the architectures that I've talked about. So in the model based table, you have to define a view model that that renders the table based on the changes in the data, that based on the changes in the data. And in the item based table, you can just push objects, push data into the table one by one. So this is more preferred if you are using model view controller, the item-based table. And if you're having more amount of data that are having a bulk data, then you can use model-based table. So this is my basic UI right here. And once this is the, I am assuming that everybody else have already is finished doing this. Once everybody is done, just quickly put it in the chat box and say in the chat box that you have, if you have done making this UI. If you have done, then we will just get back to programming it. Yeah, by default, the design section will be disabled in the Qt creator. You need to double click on the form.ui file on your editor. So right here, if I just select here, see right now the UI is, the design is disabled for me, the design tab. Now, if I just double click on the form.ui, it switches to the design tab by default. So the .ui file is the UI files, is the actual front end or the view that is going to be displayed in the application. It's fine, no problem. Make sure to keep a note of what the steps are being followed. So as you can see here, okay. So as you can see here, I have completed the UI here, and the UI is so whenever you're designing an application, first you need to plan out the design of the application likewise. So once the design of the application is ready, you can go on and start programming on the application as well. So right now my UI has been designed, and then I can directly start programming the UI now. So what I like to do is I make a separate folder for both the forms and the views. So inside forms, I like to store the form.ui files actually right here. And inside of views, I like to store the UI files, the Python UI files. So once your UI file is done, you can just convert it into Python using the same command that I've pasted earlier. Here you need to mention the path that you need to that you want. In my case, it will be views.view.py. Now here, instead of PySide 6, if you're using PyQt 5, then you can also use PyQt 5 UIC and the same command as well. The only difference will be the files that are being generated. Sorry, I have entered the wrong path for the form.ui file. Here. Okay. So this is my UI file this is my Python file that has been generated from the UI. And as you can see, it's pretty big. So here I have the UI main window class right here. And this class is basically my entire application. So as you can see in the main window, I am importing this UI main window class and creating an object of that class. Then I'm running the setup UI function, which basically sets up the UI. And in the main function, I'm just asking the widget to show. And yeah, this show command is what runs the application. And once the application loop is done running, it will just exit. So how these UIs work is basically there is a loop, there is an infinite loop running in the background that keeps on rendering the application. So this widget.show is that display loop that keeps on showing the application. And then inside that loop, whenever I'm invoking a command or when I'm invoking a particular method or function, then that function is being executed. So right now, I'll just change this path to views.view import UI main window. And if I just run this, you can see I have this UI right now.
Dipanshu, sorry for interrupting you.
Yes,
Could you
ma'am.
please have a look at the chat box?
Yeah, I've addressed those already. Yeah, the navigation bar in Qt Creator. So again, if you're using C++, if you just use the main window starter files, the navigation bar comes by default. If not, you can just just a moment. What this? If not, then you can just use the menu bar widget. So okay, so the menu bar widget comes with the main window starter file itself. So you can just use that. The design section is disabled. So basically, if you double click the u.ui file, you can switch to the design. You can switch to the design tab. You selected Q widget instead of Q main window. It's okay. You can just start a new file as well. It's no issue. Also, another thing for PyQt is that for the view.py files, you can use the Qt creator or the Qt designer to generate the view.py, or you can also write these files on your own also. That example I will show you tomorrow on that's a smaller example than this one. So for if it is small enough, you don't need to necessarily use the designer to design your UI. If you know how to write these files, you can just manually write the Python file as well. Okay. So if everybody is done with the UI, I will start the programming part. This is what we are trying to achieve. If anybody wants to refer. Okay, I think there is no more doubts. I will continue with the programming. So here in this view.py file, I want to make a few changes first because uh, again, this is in this file, we need to set the triggers for the button click actions as well. So and also, as you can see in this main grid, if I have 9 buttons right now, and I'm planning to use a single function that can act as a trigger for all these buttons. And what I can always do is for each button I can just go and write self dot push button, then the number 6 dot clicked, and I can just say self dot button clicked. But the problem with this is I need to write this line for every button that is there. And in this button click method, I need to know a way. I need to know a way in which button is being clicked, because as you have seen earlier, I need to change the color of the button based on the click event. So to make that easier, what I'm going to do is I will just copy this one button right here, and I will write a custom code for rendering all those buttons right there. So since I have a 3 by 3 grid, I will make a loop for 3 cells. Okay. So now that I've made a loop, let me just disable Copilot. So now that I've made a loop, in this loop, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a table number. I will just record the table number and I will just use this formula. So this formula gives me the table number right here. And then I will declare a variable in which I will store the button object. So yeah, I will use the Q push button. And as for the name, for the parameters of the Q push button, as you can see right here. Okay, I need to change the interpreter part for the So here is one, and here is another cool tip. So if you were using VS Code, you can actually see the documentation for each of the classes out there. If you just hover on the function name, and if you're unable to see this, then just check your Python environment right here and make sure the packages you're using is installed in the current Python environment. So right now, my first parameter will be the name. So for the name, I will just use table and I will just use the tnum variable right here. So you can see here I'm using a f string. So f string allows me to insert variables right into the string itself. And for the parent, I will use self.grid layout. So as you can remember, these push buttons are inside a grid layout in the UI. As you can see in the hierarchy right here. So these push buttons that are there, these are inside this grid layout. So for that, in the program, I need to mention the parent as the grid layout. Okay. And I will just copy all these things, all the basic things right here. Because again, I'm just defining the same buttons right there. Just only the variable names will be changed. So instead of self.push button, it will be just btn right here. And if you want, you can add some more customizations as well. So for me, I would like to change the font of this as well. So for changing font, you can use Q font, and in the Q font object, I will use the Ubuntu font and I will just set the font in the button. Right there. Then the main part. So all the buttons that I have done here. So basically just calling this right here, this amount of code is enough for rendering all our buttons. But I want to also access the buttons and their methods later on. So what I will do is I will create a dictionary in the object as well called table buttons, and I will assign, and for the key I will use the table number. Then for each of these elements, I will have two values. One is the button, which is the button variable itself, the object, and another is a status. So for the status, for now, I will just leave it blank. I will come to it later on to change it. And then finally, I can just add the widget to the actual UI. So self.widget dot grid layout dot add a widget. I will add the button widget and I will give all the parameters that I need. And so this much of code is enough for or for displaying all the buttons. So if I just disable, yeah, up till here. If I just comment out all the buttons, all the grid buttons code right here, and I will just run it. Okay, sorry, it will be grid layout widget. Now if I just run it, just a moment, it seems I'm getting some errors right here. Okay, forgot to add the Q font. Q font import is here. What's going on? Okay, sorry, right. I will comment this out for now. Okay, and yeah, for this here, I need to disable these from here as well. There. And then you can see it all works the same. So right now, these buttons that are being displayed here, you can see the numbers being set properly. And okay, there is a slight problem with the numbers. I think, yeah, it should not be 4, it will be 3. Yeah, now it works fine. So as you can see, instead of declaring the buttons one by one, so what the automatic generator did was it generated the buttons one by one. What I did was I generated the buttons in a single loop. The what it does is basically I can do the same amount of thing in less amount of code. So this is a good practice. And later on, when I'm attaching all the signals, uh, it it's easier to do it in this manner. Okay. So moving on to the next part, our UI is ready right now, and we can move on to coding the controller. So for that, I will just make a new file, controller.py, and I will just copy the same. Yeah, I will just copy the same imports from view.py because we are going to use more or less the same things. And also, we will just import the view file from here. Now that that is done, I will make a class that inherits the UI main window. So I will make it, I will call it app window class, and it will inherit the UI main window. So this is how I prefer to structure my code in PyQt. Okay. So I have created a class that inherits the UI main window class that is being declared over here. And in the main window, I will, instead of importing this, I will import the class from controller. Okay. And here, instead of the UI main window class, I will initiate the app window class. So it has the same methods, but what the better then if the advantage of doing this is when I can create the functions that addresses to the signals in the front end more easily, and I have a separate file to manage them. And in the future, if I need to change something in the view, so for example, in the UI itself, in the form.ui file, I change something. So for example, now if I just decided to add another button right here and I regenerate this file, then all my connector functions won't be lost. They'll be still here in this file, and I just need to rewrite these. I just need to rewrite this portion and some connector code only. So that makes basically the maintenance easier. So yeah, once we are here, and here in Python, basically the super init this command, the super.init, basically initiates the parent class of the current class. Okay, and sir, you have used VS Code for this coding. Yes, I'm using VS Code. You can use any text editor that you like. All right. All right. Okay. So yeah, let's get going with the coding now. So yeah, as I mentioned earlier, the reason why I wrote this loop is to make it easier for writing the connector functions for this buttons. So as you can see right now, let's not write this push button C, sorry. I'll just copy the same thing for the class name. Yep. Right. So now we'll just now as you remember from the app demo that I showed you, the applications by default, the tables they have a background color of green. So for that, I will just use the set style sheet method. Set style sheet method. So this is similar to the inline CSS inside in HTML. And the language also similar. So I will specify the text color being black and the background color being green. Okay. And then, sorry, yeah. And then for the click function, when the signal clicked is emitted, I will just connect it with a function. So here I will be using a lambda function because I'll be passing a parameter as well. For the parameter, I will use tn, which is basically the table number. And the function that I'll be using is self dot manage table tn. So basically what it does is it calls the manage table function with the parameter tn. Okay. And while we are here, I will also uncomment this one because we'll be using this table buttons dictionary very soon. Now this dictionary, I will define it in here in the child class. So I can just write self dot table buttons is equal to just an empty dictionary. And while we are at it, I'll also add a few more dictionaries. Table orders and current table, which I will by default is none. Okay. Yeah, it's underscore comma. Yeah. All right. Now in the status, what I'm going to do is I can just use a normal text for status, but usually since the status will be fluctuating between three values, I prefer to use an enum class for the status. So for that, I'll be defining an inline class called table status that inherits the enum class. Here, I will have three values: available, occupied, and alt. And for that, I will need to import enum. So why am I using enum instead of text is because in future, if I need to add more states and more controls for that states, well, I don't need to edit the one state line that I've mentioned everywhere else. I can just add another, say, new state, and I just give a number, and it will be handled on its own. So again, this is again a part of reusable code that I've been writing here. And then I can just put the status here as available. So self dot available, just like that. Okay. Now, as you remember, I still need to write a function called manage table right here. So I will just write that. I will give it self and table number. And for now, I will just give it a print function. And I will just say in that print that table is managed. Okay. And let's see if this works right now. So if I just put python main window.py, oops, error, it's views. Yeah. Okay, a few mistakes in variable naming, and yeah, you are here. So if I just click on here, table 2, you can see in the output that I've received, table 2 is managed. If I just click table 3 is managed. Table 8 is managed. Okay, which is good. I will continue with the code. Now, whenever I am managing a table, I want to see that, okay, in that manage table, what I'm going to do is the things in, yeah, in the manage table, the things I need to do is number one, set the table number in here 0 to the current table number. Check the status of the table right here and change the color of the table. So in here, I can group them into mainly two tasks. The first task being set the selected table number, and second task being check and okay. So second task being I can just check and display the status of the current table. So I can as I have planned, and during the planning of this software, I can just say that this part right here, check and display the status of the table, is going to happen a lot of times. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a separate function for this, for the second task. And for the first task, set the selected table number. That is easy. I will just do this. Now the current table number is set. And for this one, let's say I will write another function, self dot, let's see, update table window. Let's say I've named that function that one, update table window. So, and I will define that one right here. So what this update table window will do is it will check the status of the tables, and it will display the status of the table in terms of the color of the button, in terms of uh, the actual status of the table in the side widget, and also the orders of the table in the table, in the table view. Okay, a lot of tables in that sentence. Yeah, once I code it, you will go on, you can understand that. So first I will just make a local variable of the current table, so that I don't need to write this self.cur table every time I'm using the variable. So in the update table window, first I will fetch the current table number. Then I will change the label. So as you can see here, I will just run it once more. I have this label over here that says available. So I need to change this label dynamically. So how will I do that? First, I will access the button that says that label. So which is this button? Thank you. Okay. So this label right here, label underscore 4, is the label responsible for displaying my status. So I will just rename the variable right here. So I can just search the variable name, and I will just assign another name. Let's say label status. I will just change it. Right. So it is changed in all the places. That's good. And here I can just say that, oh, sorry. It's the number that I need to change at this point. Sorry, I didn't follow that. So for the number, once again, I can just track down which label is here. So it is label 2. So I can just copy it, and I can just say label table num. I can just change the variable name. So by changing the variable name, I'm just making it easier for myself to access the variable later on. So rather than level 1, level 2, level 3, it's label table num. It says more about what the variable is supposed to do and what the variable is. So I can just use the set text method. Yeah. set text method, and in the set text, I will just put enum. So that will display by current table number. And as for the status, I will get the status from the table buttons from the table buttons dictionary. Right here. Now, in this case, now I need to set a few variables based on the status itself. So, okay, sorry, it will be straight brackets. There. Now, based on the status that I've fetched here, I need to change I need to change a few variables. So, for example, the color of the text, the color of the button, and a few more things. So right now here, I will be changing the color of the buttons itself. And for updating the other things, I will use another function. So that to keep the functionalities separate, again, modularity in coding. So for that, I can use if else, but if else statements for this work is a bit cumbersome. So I will use uh, very less used thing in actual software development. That is the switch case. So Python doesn't have any particular statement for switch case, but there is a similar thing called match case. So you can use it like this. You can use the match keyword and just type in the variable name that you want to match. And you can write the cases as you go. So case table status dot available. So this is similar to your switch case, right? So what normally you would write switch, your variable name, and then case sub and the variable result and the function that you would execute. So in this case, self dot set text available, and I will fetch the actual button object buttons and enum, and here I will write button. So as you remember earlier, we had stored the actual button object inside this variable. So here, right here in table buttons under the button key, we have stored the actual button object. So I will access that once again, and I will change this set style sheet method. So again, if it is available, then the background color is green, and color needs to be black. So why the color black is being repeated here is because the set style sheet method it replaces the entire style sheet every time I call it. So if I don't call the color black, then in the next time when the set style sheet method is called, the color changes into the default color, which is white. And I will copy and paste this case a few more times for the other cases right there. So instead of available, if it is occupied, then here I will just write occupied, and instead of green, I will make it yellow. Here, if it is ordered, then I will in the in the status, I will just set the test ordered, and the color will be red. And yeah, I just saw a mistake right here. I didn't call the label variable properly. So let me just go back to the view, and over here, label status is the variable name that I need to call. So back in the controller, uh, there, better. And here, as you can remember, in switch case, the last case is always the default case. So if you need to mention default case, just mention an underscore like this, which is basically a blank. So this is basically the function. And next line, I need to update the table contents. So before that, let me just run this. And as you can see, I have table 3 right here. And if I click in table 3, you can see the table number changed over here. Table 5, it's table 5. Table 2 is table 2. Table 1 is table 1. 9 is 9. So it is working. I don't have a way to check for the other states because I haven't mentioned a method for changing the states yet. So which I will do it right now. So in the view, I will again track down the button that I made for changing the state. So which is this button, mark occupied. So I will just change the variable name quickly. Instead of push button 10, I will just change the name to button set occupied. So just a shorthand for that. There. Here, what I will do is I will add an event. Out clicked. Okay. Just a moment. Yeah. Dot clicked. Then I will need to connect it with a method which is mark occupied. Self dot mark occupied. Sorry. Okay. Now here, what I need to do is I will need to define the mark occupied method. Okay. So now in this self.mark occupied method, I need to add a check as well. So that it works only when the table is initially in a green state, which is available. If it is any other state, you should not be able to mark it as occupied. So for that, I will just use an if statement. So as you can see, the condition is if the table status is available, then only I will change the status. So self dot buttons. Fine. And then I will update the view. Grid table window. So as you can see, this function right here is being used many places. So I will need to update the table view after some time, after many tasks right here, but I won't need to call the manage table every time. So a quick demonstration of this one. Suppose if I have table 3, if I mark it occupied right here. Okay.
There should be a single equal to sign.
Oh,
There
okay.
should be a
My
single.
bad. Yeah. Yeah. Now it works. Good observation. Thank you. So yeah, as you can see, it works right now. So the status has been changed and the color is also updated. So that is the mark occupied sign right there. Okay, next we need to work on setting the orders. So for example, in this drop-down box, I need to have some data displayed about the orders about the food items that are available for ordering. And in this pin box, I will mention the number of items that I need to order. And if I click add, the items will be added to the table. So for this, we will be talking about database concepts of it, because the data about the items that are available will be stored inside the database. So before that, I would like to ask the students if you have any doubts or have you understood what I've talked about so far. Aditya Prakash says, I don't think all these things are easy in C++ as well. Again, coding things is a bit difficult in C++. But yeah, the procedure will be same. So you might need to make a custom class. You might need to make a custom class and inherit the main window class in that in the custom class, and then write the connection functions as well. So the procedure is same, but the execution will be a bit different. After all, it's all object-oriented programming concepts only. Okay, so there are no more doubts, I think, regarding this one. If you have any doubts, just mention it in the chat box and I will address it whenever I'm taking a break like this. So, okay. So now, again, next part we need to talk about is the food ordering and to take orders. So for that, we need two things. One is a table of contents of what the orders are, what orders are available and what the value is, and what the order of each table is. Okay. So for that, I can again have a Python file and hard coded everything, but that is not a good practice. So, and usually in real scenario, whenever you're making a software, there will be a database that manages these things. So in here as well, we will make a database. So first of all, I will create a folder called database. And in that, I will just make a file called managedb.py right here. So in this file, I will manage everything. So in this file, we'll basically manage everything related to the database right here. And for the database, I'll be using SQLite. So SQLite is pretty easy to set up in the first place. So if you're using Ubuntu, if you're using Linux, it's as simple as just running a single command, sudo apt install SQLite 3. Yeah. So for in my case, it's already installed, and in your case, it will just take less than a minute to install it, depending on your network connection. So yeah, it's just as simple to install it, and no secondary steps are needed for SQLite after this. unlike MySQL or MariaDB. So that's why I'll be using SQLite for this session. So in Python, I need to import the package SQLite 3 for interacting with SQLite database. And yeah, that's it. So now I'll be creating a set of functions that are that will be used to interact with the database that we are creating. And also it will be used to create the database, but the creating the database will be handling from this file itself. So first function will be obviously create tables. So first what we'll do, we'll create a connection to the database. Restaurant.db. Now what this line does is basically it will search for restaurant.db. If it is not there, it will create a restaurant.db. That's it. Simple. I will have a cursor. So the cursor will do all the write or read commands for me. And then I will do a cursor dot execute. And in this triple text, I will write the SQL command that I need to run here. So I will just copy and paste this. Yeah. So I will just, the command is just create table if not exists. First table is orders. So in this table, I will record all the orders that are placed by the customers. And again, I will have a primary key. And I will have an order ID, then the table number, then the items that they have ordered, and the total amount. Then a feedback and rating, and a timestamp. A timestamp for basically ordering them on ordering the table in the date to check the date in the table for the orders. And similarly, I will just copy and paste the next two. Earnings table, I will just have a date and total earnings for that particular date. And in this table, the date being the primary key because that will be the sorting factor. And I will make another table called the menu. So in the menu, I will have a menu item ID, the item name, and a price. That's it. And when it is done, I will just commit the changes. So connection dot commit and connection dot close. That's it. So this function will just basically create my tables inside the restaurant database. And then if I need to add more items, I will have a function for that too. So this function will take two variables. One is the item name and second one is the price. And once again, I will need to open a connection. So I will just copy these two lines and these two lines. So these will be common for for all the functions, these 4 lines. I just need to change the execution command. So in here, the cursor.execute, the command to be executed is insert into menu, item name and price. Item name and price is being the column names, values. I will just give two placeholders and I will mention the variables over here. That's it. Again, to read the menu items, I will just write this function. For reading, I do not need any parameters. Again, copy and paste these two. Device from menu, and I will convert them into a Python variable. I need to store them in a Python variable first. So this will give me a list of values right here. And I need to commit in here because I'm not committing any changes. I'm not doing any write actions. I'm just doing read actions right here. And this will return the items. Okay. Then again the same functions for these were the two operations for the menu table. I need to write the same operations for the order table as well. So table number, items, total amount, feedback, rating. Again, and I need to execute this. Feedback and rating. Okay. Then the same function for uh, get the total earnings because I don't need to fetch the amount. I don't need to fetch the orders. So yeah, I need to push some data into the earnings as well. So this is for the earning table. I'll just copy and paste this. So here, insert or ignore into earnings, where just I will just put this one, and I'll just update the total earnings plus whatever the amount is given. So what I'm doing is, first I'm inserting a zero value into the table for the current date. And then whatever amount I'm getting for the current date, I'm just adding that amount to the prior existing amount. So why I'm doing this is because this function will be called multiple times in a single day. And if it is called multiple times in a single day, then basically I'll be pushing multiple data into the same table for the same primary key. So instead of that, I'm just adding the data in, instead of inputting multiple data for the same primary key, I just need to keep adding to the cell for the consecutive amounts. So this piece of code helps me to do that. And yeah, that's all. There is also a function that I left out for fetching the order details. So here we have wrote the code for storing the orders, but for fetching the order, we will need to write another code, which I'll be covering tomorrow because that has a separate structure than this one. So okay, today I will just wrap up at this. So yeah, any doubts so far in this entire application in today's session?
Or like database things will be same in C++ as well, right?
Yes, you can use your separate database as well. You can figure out what database works best with C++. So in this case, I'm using SQLite because it's easy to manage from Python.
And can you give some context regarding Vulkan as well? Like Vulkan,
Yes. What specific thing do you need regarding Python?
like I just gone through the documentation of Vulkan and it's quite heavy.
Yes,
Uh,
it is. It is quite heavy. Like Vulkan, so the difference is in Qt, you get these widgets, right? So if you just make a class and you just call a particular method in the class, then you have this window right there, ready-made window displayed on your screen. So Vulkan, instead of that, you need to define that window class itself. You get what I'm saying, right? So in PyQt, what I did
correct.
was, in PyQt, in this UI, in the forms.ui, if you see, so in forms.ui, you see that I'm using this object class, okay? And for suppose making a button, for making a widget, I'm using this QWidget class right here. So this class has some internal methods inside it, and Qt is giving me those methods by default to uh, display this widget in my window. In Vulkan or OpenGL, you need to write these classes by yourself. As far as my knowledge goes about Vulkan and OpenGL, you need to write these classes up by yourself. What the framework gives you is mainly the memory management and all that. Like they are very low level.
And you need to write each and everything on the graphics part.
Yes, yes, yes. And because of that low level control, you can create more complicated graphics with that. So, for example, like 3D graphics, shaders, and all. With Qt, you cannot create shaders. Again, you need to use OpenGL inside of Qt to create a custom shader.
And also it depends on the problem statement, like which of the framework will be suitable for the problem statement.
That's also a point. Yes, Aruna, you have raised a hand.
So I have one question. In class, you are also writing. Sorry, in main window,
Okay.
So in line number 28, let's say, so there you are writing set object name, then U, right? So what is U?
U mentions the Unicode format of string in Python.
Oh, okay, got it. Thank you.
So you can also omit it. There won't be a problem since it is generated code. So this part of the code is being generated by PySide 6. So they have mentioned the Unicode format.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Anybody else have any other questions?
So if there are no more questions, can we wrap up, Diptanshu?
Yes, sure.
So we are winding up this session today. Thanks for joining. Thank you all and bye-bye.